Hello and happy Tuesday. My name is Michael Leeserman here with the Trial Guide's Tip of the Day. It is February 13th, 2024. Today's tip comes from David Ball on Damages 3. Here to read the tip is David Ball. Welcome, David.
Thank you, Michael. And let me read this thing. It says, most jurors expect a defendant to have acted the way most others in the same position would have acted. The more you show that a defendant violated that expectation, the more jurors are likely to gauge the defendant's conduct as wrong. Jurors gauge conduct by the norm.
So this is great because you're talking about the norm and how much do you deviate from it. And it strikes me that that's exactly what our jury instructions are, right?
It's also the definition of negligence, if you think about it. Nothing new there.
Yeah, that's what I mean. The ordinary care, the reasonable care. So tell us more about that.
Well, first of all, it does go exactly to the law. And secondly, it tells you, this quote, I hope, to try to frame the liability portion of your case, the negligence portion of your case, around the concept that anyone in that position would have done better if that person cared at all about anyone else's safety. This is what safe people do. And it's exactly what the law means. The law, ordinary care, doesn't mean an average level of care. It means what everyone does. The ordinary person means everyone does who's trying to be safe, who's trying to keep from hurting other people. So how do I behave when I'm trying to keep from hurting other people? What would I do if I were running that trucking company and at the same time was trying to run a safe operation that would keep from hurting other people, say on the road? What would I do if I were the surgeon doing that kind of surgery, if I were trying to do the safest thing for my patient? Not just what would I do if I were the surgeon, but go all the way through the negligence. What would I do if I were trying to prevent harm to others? What would I have done in that situation? And most people can inject themselves into that situation if you can frame the options in ways that people can understand. Obviously, if it's brain surgery, they're not going to understand all the details, but they will understand if you frame them out so the jurors clearly understand the doctor should have done this, should have done that. That's why, for example, in a medical case, explaining differential diagnosis properly makes it so crystal clear that a 12-year-old can understand it. And now the juror understands, I would have done that if I were the doctor trying to keep from missing a dangerous diagnosis. That if is extremely important and probably should have been part of this quote.
It strikes me, in our firm, we love having truck drivers on the jury, and that's all we do is sue truck companies. And we've had tremendous success that way. And so I think that's exactly because of what you're talking about, that you want the juror to say, I wouldn't have done that. I would have been safer than that. And the closer that person is to that, another truck driver, now they can say, yeah, I know to keep a lookout. I know to keep a longer following distance than that. So
obviously you need to be careful there. You don't want a driver who wrecks all the time. I'm sure you're careful about that. But yes, it's different from whether you want a juror who has had the same kind of injuries. I would advise against that almost all the time. Not all the time, but almost all the time. But someone in that same position, what a leader you've got on the jury in that case, because the other jurors will defer to the truck driver in a trucking case, especially when that person says, yeah, well, that's what we do. That's why I've driven 30 years and, haven't really hurt anybody. I love that idea. And most lawyers would be afraid to do that.
Yeah. I think a lot of things that most lawyers are afraid of. I find that my last trial, I had a police officer on the jury, had an engineer, people that usually would say in reconstruction was a big issue. So I think it's at least worth questioning those kind of beliefs that people hold. So,
Well, it's also why one does focus groups, and it's also why you try not to choose jurors on demographic bases. And occupation is a demographic. Are nurses really people who care more than others? Well, some of them might be, but others of them care every day or work all day long, and they don't give a good goddamn anymore. So you can't make those kinds of generalizations to say, no, we don't want any of those people. I fear engineers because, and if I have some reasons and it applies to this engineer, then it might be valid. I fear engineers because most of them have trouble dealing with the concept of preponderance, because you don't build a bridge hoping it will more likely than not stay up. They're not used to that kind of thinking. But that doesn't mean get rid of all engineers, because it might be very easy for some engineers to step beyond that. You need to find out, and that's why you have voir dire.
Wonderful. Thank you, as always, for your wisdom today, David.
And happy Tuesday the 13th to everyone.
Absolutely. Let's take a deep breath together. Just be grateful to be alive this Tuesday. May the work that we do today help to reduce the suffering in the world. May it help repair the world. May we fiercely and compassionately advocate for our clients, championing their causes and doing good in the world. I'm going to ring a bell 3 times now. This can take you into a meditation practice, a prayer practice, or just let the sounds pierce you and wash over you and remind you it's Tuesday. Wake up, go out, do good things, and have fun while you're doing it.